The old wooden floor creaked under her feet as Maya swept the hallway for the third time that day. Her hands were rough and red from all the cleaning, but she didn't dare complain. Not anymore. Not after what happened the last time she spoke up. 3 years had passed since her father died in that terrible car accident. 3 long years of living like a stranger in what used to be her own home. The house still looked the same from the outside, with its blue shutters and the small garden her father had loved so much. But inside, everything had changed. Her stepmother Victoria ruled the house, now like a queen in her castle. Every morning, Maya would wake up at 5 to start cooking breakfast. Every night, she would fall into bed exhausted after finishing the dishes. The beautiful bedroom that used to be hers now belonged to her stepsister Chloe. Maya slept in the tiny room next to the kitchen, the one that used to store old furniture. Maya, where's my coffee? Victoria's sharp voice cut through the morning silence like a knife. Maya quickly poured the hot coffee into the fancy china cup, the one with tiny roses painted on it. She remembered when her real mother used to drink from that same cup on Sunday mornings. Victoria sat at the dining table like she owned the world. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, and she wore an expensive red dress that probably cost more than Maya's entire wardrobe. She didn't even look up when Maya placed the coffee in front of her. "It's cold," Victoria said after taking one sip, even though steam was still rising from the cup. "I just made it fresh," Maya said quietly. Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. "Are you talking back to me? After everything I've done for you? I could have thrown you out on the street when your father died, but I kept you here out of the goodness of my heart." Maya bit her tongue. She knew better than to argue. Victoria had a way of twisting every situation to make herself look like the victim. The truth was, Maya's father had left the house to her in his will, but somehow, all the papers had gotten changed. Victoria's lawyer had explained it with big words that Maya didn't understand. All she knew was that everything that belonged to her family was now Victoria's. Chloe bounced into the room wearing a pink silk pajama set that looked like it cost a fortune. At 19, she was only 2 years older than Maya, but she acted like she was royalty. Her dark hair bounced in perfect curls, and her nails were always painted in the latest colors. "Good morning, Mommy," Chloe said, kissing Victoria on the cheek. She completely ignored Maya, like she was just another piece of furniture. "Darling, we need to talk about your situation," Victoria said, stirring her coffee with a silver spoon. Maya pretended to be busy wiping down the counter, but her ears were sharp. Chloe's situation had been the talk of their small town for weeks. Everyone knew she was pregnant, but nobody knew who the father was. Well, Maya knew, but she would never tell. She had seen Chloe sneaking around with Derek Chen, the son of the richest family in town. Derek's father owned 3 restaurants and a hotel. Derek himself drove a fancy sports car and wore clothes that probably cost more than most people made in a month. But when Chloe told him about the baby, he had laughed in her face and said he would never marry someone like her. "Derek won't even answer my calls," Chloe whined, slumping into her chair. "His friends told everyone at the country club that I'm just some girl trying to trap him." Victoria's face turned red with embarrassment and anger. "That little snake. After everything you did for him." Maya almost felt sorry for her stepsister. Almost. But then, she remembered all the times Chloe had made her life miserable. Like when she told everyone at school that Maya's clothes came from the charity shop, or when she borrowed Maya's mother's jewelry and never gave it back. "Don't worry, sweetheart," Victoria said, reaching over to pat Chloe's hand. "Mommy will figure something out. We just need to find you a husband before you start showing." Maya's stomach dropped. She had heard that tone in Victoria's voice before. It was the same tone she used when she was planning something terrible over. The next few days, Victoria made phone call after phone call. Maya could hear her through the thin walls, talking in her fake sweet voice to different people around town. She was asking about single men, especially ones with money. Maya tried not to listen, but it was impossible to avoid. "Yes, I know he's not perfect," Victoria was saying into the phone one afternoon. "But my daughter needs a husband, and she's not picky about looks." Maya was dusting the living room when she heard Victoria mention a name that made her freeze. "The Blackwood family?" "Yes, I've heard of them. Very wealthy. And their son is. What do you mean, blind? Well, that's not ideal. But Chloe is very understanding. Maya's hands started shaking. The Blackwood family lived in the biggest house in the next town over. Everyone knew they had more money than they could ever spend. But their son had been in some kind of accident years ago. People said he never left the house anymore. That night, Maya heard Victoria and Chloe talking in hushed voices in the kitchen. She crept closer to listen, her heart pounding in her chest. I don't want to marry some blind guy, Chloe was saying. That's disgusting. What if he's all weird and creepy? Sweetie, we don't have a choice, Victoria replied. Derek has made it clear he won't do the right thing. And your condition is going to be obvious soon. We need to find someone, anyone, who will marry you. But the Blackwood guy? Really? Victoria sighed. I made some calls. The family is desperate to find their son a wife. They're worried about him being alone. And they're willing to pay very well for the right girl. Maya felt sick. They were talking about marriage like it was a business deal. How much money are we talking about? Chloe asked. Enough to pay off all our debts and set us up comfortably for years, Victoria said. Plus, once you're married into the Blackwood family, you'll have access to all their wealth. Think of it as an investment in your future. Maya couldn't listen anymore. She tiptoed back to her room and lay on her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling. Poor Chloe, she thought. Even though her stepsister had been cruel to her, Maya wouldn't wish a loveless marriage on anyone. But the next morning, everything changed. Maya was making breakfast when Victoria stormed into the kitchen, her face twisted with rage. Behind her, Chloe was crying, her makeup running down her cheeks in black streaks. That ungrateful little brat, Victoria shouted, slamming her purse down on the counter. After everything I've sacrificed for her. What happened? Maya asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. Chloe has decided she's too good for the Blackwood boy, Victoria spat. She says she won't marry someone she can't stand to look at. Can you believe the nerve? Maya looked at Chloe, who was sobbing into a tissue. I can't do it, Mommy. I just can't. What if he's horrible? What if he smells bad or makes weird noises? Victoria's eyes were like ice chips. Fine. If you won't secure our family's future, then someone else will have to. Maya felt a chill run down her spine. The way Victoria was looking at her made her stomach turn. You, Victoria said, pointing a perfectly manicured finger at Maya. You're going to marry the Blackwood boy. Maya's mouth fell open. What? No, I can't. I'm only 17. You'll be 18 next month. That's old enough. But I don't even know him. I've never even seen him. Victoria laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Oh, sweet child. You think you have a choice in this matter? Let me explain something to you. You live in my house. You eat my food. You wear clothes that I pay for. You owe me everything. Maya's legs felt weak. But you're my family. You can't just sell me off like I'm nothing. Family? Victoria's voice was deadly quiet. You're not my family. You're the daughter of the man I married for his money. And since he's dead, you're just another mouth to feed. Unless you make yourself useful. Maya looked at Chloe, hoping for some support, but her stepsister just looked away. I won't do it, Maya said, trying to sound braver than she felt. Victoria's smile was cruel. Oh, but you will. Because if you don't, I'll throw you out of this house tonight with nothing but the clothes on your back. No money, no references, nowhere to go. You'll be sleeping on the streets before the week is over. Maya's heart was racing. She had no other family, no friends who could help her. Victoria had made sure of that over the years, isolating her from everyone who might care about her. The Blackwood family is expecting to meet their future daughter-in-law next week, Victoria continued. You'll put on your best dress, smile pretty, and convince them that you're exactly what their son needs. And if you even think about trying to sabotage this arrangement, I'll make sure everyone in this town knows what a selfish, ungrateful girl you really are. Maya felt trapped like a bird in a cage. She thought about her father, wondering what he would say if he could see what was happening to her. He had always told her to be strong, to never give up hope. But right now, hope felt like something from a fairy tale. Why are you doing this to me? Maya whispered. Victoria leaned closer, her perfume making Maya feel dizzy. Because life isn't fair, little girl. Some people are born to be queens, and others are born to serve them. You should be grateful I'm giving you a chance to marry into wealth, instead of leaving you to scrub floors for the rest of your life. That night, Maya lay in her small bed and cried until she had no tears left. In 1 week, she would meet the man she was supposed to marry, a stranger who lived. The wedding dress felt like a costume that didn't belong to her. Maya stood in front of the cracked mirror in her tiny room, adjusting the simple white dress that Victoria had bought from a discount store. It was pretty enough, but it wasn't the wedding dress she had dreamed about as a little girl. Back then, she had imagined walking down the aisle toward someone who loved her, someone who chose her. Instead, she was about to marry a complete stranger. The ceremony was small and cold. Maya's hands shook as she signed the marriage papers, her new name looking strange and foreign on the documents. Mrs. Ryan Blackwood. She had met Ryan only twice before the wedding, both times with Victoria hovering nearby like a hawk watching its prey. Ryan had been polite but distant during those meetings. He was taller than Maya had expected, with dark hair and strong features. That would have been handsome if not for the blank look in his eyes. He wore dark sunglasses even indoors, and when he spoke, he looked slightly to the left of wherever she was standing. Victoria had coached Maya on what to say and how to act. Be sweet, be grateful, and don't ask too many questions, she had warned. Rich families don't like nosy wives. Now, as the car pulled up to the Blackwood mansion, Maya felt her stomach flip with nervousness. The house was enormous, bigger than anything she had ever seen in real life. Tall white columns held up a grand entrance, and perfectly trimmed gardens stretched out on both sides. It looked like something from a movie about rich people. "Welcome home," Ryan said quietly as they walked up the marble steps. His voice was deeper than she remembered, and somehow gentler than during their awkward meetings. An older woman with gray hair and a kind face opened the massive front door. "Mr. Ryan, welcome back. And you must be Maya," she said with a warm smile. "I'm Helen, the housekeeper. I've been taking care of this family for 20 years. Maya smiled back, grateful for the friendly face. "It's nice to meet you. Helen will show you to your room," Ryan said. "I have some work to catch up on." Maya's heart sank a little. She had hoped they might talk, maybe get to know each other better now that they were married. But Ryan was already walking away, moving through the house with surprising confidence for someone who couldn't see. Her room was beautiful, like something from a fancy hotel. The bed was huge, with soft pillows and silky sheets. There was a walk-in closet bigger than her old bedroom, and a bathroom with a bathtub that could fit 3 people. Maya had never seen such luxury in her life. "Mr. Ryan thought you might like the room that faces the garden," Helen explained. "The morning light is lovely here." "It's perfect," Maya whispered, running her hand over the smooth comforter. "But where does Ryan sleep?" Helen's expression became carefully neutral. "Mr. Ryan has his own suite down the hall. He's always been a private person, especially since the accident." Maya wanted to ask more about the accident, but something in Helen's tone told her not to push. Instead, she spent the afternoon exploring her new home. The mansion had rooms she couldn't even identify, filled with expensive furniture and paintings that probably cost more than most people's houses. But the strangest thing was Ryan himself. Over the next few days, Maya began to notice things that didn't add up. Yes, Ryan was blind, but he moved through the house like he had a map in his head. He never bumped into furniture or got lost. When they ate dinner together, he found his water glass on the first try and cut his food with perfect precision. And then there were the phone calls. Maya would be reading in the library when she heard Ryan's voice coming from his study down the hall. He spoke in a tone she had never heard before, confident and commanding. "Tell Harrison that if he doesn't have those reports on my desk by Friday, he can find another job," she heard him say one afternoon. "And cancel my meeting with the Thompson Group. I don't do business with people who think they can cheat me." Maya frowned. Ryan was supposed to be disabled, someone who needed taking care of, but he sounded like he was giving orders to important people. Another day, she saw expensive cars pulling up to the house. Men in perfect suits would hurry inside, looking nervous and carrying thick folders. They would disappear into Ryan's study for hours, and when they left, Maya could hear them talking in respectful, almost fearful tones. "Yes, sir, Mr. Blackwood. We'll have that taken care of immediately," one man said as he walked past the library where Maya was pretending to read. Mr. Blackwood? Maya thought Ryan's father was Mr. Blackwood, but these men were talking to Ryan like he was the one in charge. The most confusing part was how the household staff treated Ryan. Helen and the other workers didn't act like he was a burden to the family. Instead, they jumped to attention whenever he entered a room. When he asked for something, they moved quickly to get it done. It was like he was the boss, not just the son of the house. One evening, Maya got brave enough to ask some questions. During dinner, "Ryan, what kind of work do you do?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Ryan paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. "Work? I hear you on the phone sometimes. It sounds like business calls." "I help my father with some family investments," Ryan said carefully. Nothing too complicated, but Maya had heard him on the phone that morning, talking about buying an entire company. That didn't sound like helping with simple investments. "The people who come to visit seem very important," Maya continued. Ryan's jaw tightened slightly. "My father has many business associates. Sometimes they need to discuss things with the family." Maya nodded, but she didn't believe him. There was something Ryan wasn't telling her, something big. Despite the mystery surrounding her new husband, Maya found herself growing more comfortable in the mansion. Helen treated her like family, always making sure she had everything she needed. The other staff members were kind too, though Maya noticed they were very careful about what they said around her. Ryan was polite but distant. He made sure she had beautiful clothes to wear, gave her a credit card with no limit, and told her she could buy anything she wanted. When Maya protested that she didn't need expensive things, Ryan just said his family could afford it. "But this dress costs more than most people make in a month," Maya said, looking at the price tag on a beautiful blue dress that had been delivered to her room. "Money isn't something you need to worry about anymore," Ryan replied. Something in his voice made Maya think there was more to that statement than he was letting on. The strangest moment came during their third week of marriage. Maya was walking past Ryan's study when she heard him speaking on the phone in a language she didn't recognize. But what shocked her wasn't the foreign language, it was the confidence in his voice, the way he seemed to be negotiating something important. When the call ended, Maya knocked on the door. "Come in," Ryan called. Maya found him sitting behind a massive desk covered with papers. But these weren't the papers of someone who just helped with family business. They looked like contracts, financial reports, and documents with official seals. "I was wondering if you'd like to have lunch together today," Maya said, trying not to stare at the papers. Ryan quickly moved some documents, covering them with other papers. "That sounds nice. Helen makes excellent sandwiches." As they ate lunch on the sunny terrace, Maya studied her husband's face. Without his sunglasses, she could see that his eyes were a beautiful green color, but they stared straight ahead without focusing on anything. Yet somehow, Ryan always seemed to know exactly where she was, exactly what she was doing. "Can I ask you something personal?" Maya said suddenly. Ryan tensed. "What? What happened in your accident? I mean, if you don't mind talking about it." For a long moment, Ryan didn't answer. Then he sighed. "Car crash, 5 years ago. I was driving home from college when another car ran a red light. I was in the hospital for months. That must have been terrifying. Changed everything," Ryan said quietly. "People see you differently when you're disabled. They think you're helpless, that you can't do anything for yourself." Maya felt a pang of sympathy. "But you're not helpless. You move around the house like you can see everything." Ryan's mouth almost smiled. "I've had 5 years to learn every inch of this place. And I have a good memory. Is that why you don't go out much? Because of how people treat you?" Something like that. Ryan's voice had an edge to it, like there was more to the story. That night, Maya lay in her huge bed thinking about her mysterious husband. Every day brought new questions about who Ryan really was. The phone calls, the important visitors, the way everyone treated him with such respect. It all pointed to something bigger than what he was telling her. but there was something else too. Despite the strange circumstances of their marriage, Maya was starting to care about Ryan. He was kind to her in small ways, making sure she was comfortable, asking about her day, listening when she talked about the books she was reading, and sometimes, when they were talking, Maya caught Ryan almost smiling at something she said. In those moments, he didn't seem like a distant, damaged man. He seemed like someone she could actually fall in love with. The thought scared her. This marriage was supposed to be a business arrangement, a way for Victoria to get money and for Ryan's family to get him a caretaker. Maya wasn't supposed to develop real feelings, but as she drifted off to sleep, Maya couldn't help wondering what would happen if Ryan ever learned to trust her enough to tell her the truth about who he really was. And she wondered if she wasted months into their marriage. Maya had settled into a routine that felt almost normal. Every morning, she would have breakfast with Ryan on the terrace, reading him articles from the newspaper while he listened quietly. At first, she had chosen light stories about local events or entertainment news, but Ryan kept asking her to read the business section instead. This article about the stock market crash in Asia, Ryan said one morning. Read that one again, but slower this time. Maya found the article and began reading. As she spoke, she noticed Ryan's expression change. His jaw tightened when she mentioned certain company names, and his fingers drummed against the table when she read about falling prices. That's enough, Ryan said suddenly. Thank you. But Maya could see he was troubled. Is everything okay? You seem worried. Just thinking about how these things affect people, Ryan said, but his voice sounded distant. Later that day, Maya heard him on another one of his mysterious phone calls. She wasn't trying to listen, but his voice carried through the thin walls. Buy everything you can while the prices are low, she heard him say. And I want a full report on the Henderson Company by tomorrow. If they're struggling, we might be able to help them out. Maya frowned. Help them out? That sounded like something a very wealthy person would say, not someone who just helped with family investments. Their evening routine had become Maya's favorite part of the day. After dinner, they would sit in the library, and Maya would read to Ryan from different books. She had started with simple novels, but Ryan kept requesting more challenging material. Have you read any philosophy? Ryan asked. One evening, not really, Maya admitted. I never got to finish high school properly. Why not? Maya hesitated. She hadn't told Ryan much about her life before their marriage. Victoria had warned her not to mention how poor she had been or how badly she had been treated. My father died when I was 15, Maya said carefully. Things got complicated after that. Ryan's expression softened. I'm sorry. That must have been hard. Victoria took care of everything, Maya said, which was technically true, even if it wasn't the whole story. Tell me about your father, Ryan said. What was he like? For the next hour, Maya found herself sharing memories she hadn't talked about in years. She told Ryan about how her father used to read her bedtime stories, how he taught her to ride a bike, how he always made her feel like she could do anything she wanted in life. He sounds like a good man, Ryan said when she finished. He was. He would have liked you, I think. What makes you say that? Maya thought about it. You're kind, even when you don't have to be. And you listen when people talk. Really listen. Not everyone does that. Something in Ryan's expression changed, like she had surprised him. As the weeks passed, Maya noticed that Ryan was beginning to relax around her. He smiled more often, and sometimes she even caught him laughing at things she said. The distance between them was slowly shrinking, but their peaceful life was interrupted by an unexpected visit. Maya was in the garden, reading under her favorite tree, when Helen came hurrying outside. Mrs. Maya, Helen said, looking worried. Your stepmother and stepsister are here. They're asking to see you. Maya's stomach dropped. Victoria had called a few times since the wedding, always asking nosy questions about the Blackwood family's money, but she had never come to the house before. Maya found Victoria and Chloe in the grand living room, looking around with obvious greed. Victoria was wearing a new dress and expensive jewelry, while Chloe's belly was now clearly showing her pregnancy. There's my dear stepdaughter, Victoria said with a fake smile that didn't reach her eyes. Look at you, living like a princess. Hello. Victoria, Chloe. Maya tried to keep her voice steady. This place is incredible, Chloe said, touching a crystal vase that probably cost more than a car. You're so lucky. Victoria's eyes were sharp as she studied the room. Yes, very lucky. Tell me, dear, how is married life treating you? It's fine, Maya said carefully. Just fine. Victoria laughed. Surely you can do better than that. I hope you're making yourself useful to your husband's family. Maya didn't like the way Victoria said, useful. It reminded her of all the lectures about being grateful and not asking for too much. Ryan and I are getting along well, Maya said. Good, good. And what about his family's business? I'm sure a wife hears about these things. There it was. Maya had been wondering when Victoria would get to the real reason for her visit. I don't really know much about their business, Maya lied. Victoria's smile became dangerous. Oh, come now. Don't be modest. Surely your husband shares important information with you. After all, your family now. Before Maya could answer, Ryan appeared in the doorway. Maya hadn't heard him coming, but somehow he had found them. Maya, are you entertaining guests? Ryan asked politely, but Maya could hear tension in his voice. Ryan, these are my stepmother Victoria and my stepsister Chloe, Maya said. Victoria, Chloe, this is my husband Ryan. Victoria immediately switched on her most charming smile. Mr. Blackwood, what a pleasure to finally meet you properly. Maya has told us so much about you. Ryan nodded politely, but didn't move closer. Welcome to our home. Such a beautiful home, Victoria gushed. You must be very proud of your family's success. We've been fortunate, Ryan said carefully. Maya watched the conversation like a tennis match. Victoria kept asking subtle questions about money and business, while Ryan gave polite but vague answers. It was clear that Victoria was fishing for information, and equally clear that Ryan wasn't going to give her any. Well, we should let you get back to your day, Victoria finally said, realizing she wasn't going to learn anything useful. But before we go, could I speak with Maya privately? For just a moment? Ryan looked like he wanted to refuse, but Maya nodded. It's okay. Ryan left reluctantly, and Victoria immediately grabbed Maya's arm. Listen to me very carefully, Victoria whispered, her fake smile disappearing. I've done some research on the Blackwood family. They're not just wealthy, they're incredibly wealthy. And your husband isn't just some disabled son they're trying to get rid of. Maya's heart started beating faster. What do you mean? I mean, you married into one of the richest families in the state, and you're wasting the opportunity by playing house. You need to start finding out about their business, their investments, their bank accounts. I can't do that, Maya said, pulling away from Victoria's grip. That would be wrong. Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. Wrong? You think it's wrong to secure your family's future? Let me remind you of something, Maya. I could have left you with nothing when your father died. Instead, I arranged this marriage for you. You owe me. Thought you arranged it for Chloe, Maya said quietly. Things changed, Victoria snapped. And now, you're the one who can help us. Chloe is going to have a baby with no father willing to claim it. We need money, and you're in the perfect position to get it. Maya felt sick. You want me to steal from my husband? I want you to be smart. Rich men have more money than they know what to do with. Helping your family wouldn't even make a dent in their fortune. No, Maya said firmly. I won't do it. Victoria's face turned ugly. Then let me tell you what I found out about your precious husband. Ryan Blackwood isn't just wealthy, he's powerful. Some people think he actually runs the family business, not his father. If that's true, you married one of the most important men in the state. Maya tried to keep her expression neutral, but inside she was reeling. It confirmed what she had been suspecting. And if he ever finds out that his marriage was arranged as part of a plan to get money from his family, Victoria continued, what do you think will happen to you? Do you think he'll forgive you for lying to him? The words hit Maya like a physical blow. Victoria was right. If Ryan ever learned the truth about why Victoria had pushed for this marriage, he would think Maya had been part of the scheme all along. But I didn't know, Maya whispered. Do you think that will matter to him? Victoria's smile was cruel. Rich people don't trust anyone, especially not gold diggers who marry them under false pretenses. Maya felt tears stinging her eyes. Just When she was starting to feel like maybe this marriage could become something real, Victoria had reminded her that it was all built on lies. "You have two choices," Victoria said. "Help your family by getting us some financial support, or wait for your husband to find out the truth and throw you out with nothing. Either way, remember who took care of you when you had nowhere else to go." After Victoria and Chloe left, Maya sat alone in the garden, feeling more confused than ever. She was starting to care about Ryan, maybe even love him, but their entire marriage was based on deception. Victoria had used her as a pawn to get close to the Blackwood money, and Ryan was hiding his true identity behind the pretense of being a helpless invalid. When Ryan found her there an hour later, she quickly wiped away her tears. "Are you all right?" Ryan asked, settling down on the bench beside her. "I'm fine," Maya lied. "Your stepmother seems intense." Maya almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's one word for her," Ryan said carefully. "If there's anything you need to tell me about your family, anything at all, I hope you know you can trust me." 3 weeks after Victoria's threatening visit, Ryan surprised Maya with an unexpected announcement during breakfast. "There's a charity event tonight," Ryan said, buttering his toast with careful precision. "The Children's Hospital fundraiser. I'd like you to come with me." Maya nearly choked on her orange juice. "You want to go out? To a public event?" Ryan had never left the house since their wedding. Maya had assumed he was too uncomfortable being around strangers because of his blindness. "It's important to me," Ryan said simply. "The hospital helped a lot of kids after my accident. I try to support them when I can." Maya felt a flutter of nervousness. "I don't have anything appropriate to wear to a fancy charity event." "Check your closet," Ryan said with a small smile. "I had Helen arrange something." When Maya opened her closet that afternoon, she gasped. Hanging there was the most beautiful dress she had ever seen. It was deep emerald green made of silk that felt like water between her fingers. Next to it were matching shoes and a small purse, along with jewelry that sparkled like real diamonds. "This must have cost a fortune," Maya whispered to Helen, who was helping her get ready. "Mr. Ryan wanted you to have something special," Helen said, zipping up the dress. "You look beautiful, dear." Maya barely recognized herself in the mirror. The dress fit perfectly, and the color made her eyes shine. For the first time since her father died, she felt like she belonged somewhere special. Ryan was waiting for her at the bottom of the grand staircase, wearing a black tuxedo that made him look like a movie star. When Maya appeared, his face lit up with genuine admiration. "You look stunning," he said, offering her his arm. A sleek black car was waiting outside, driven by a man who called Ryan "Sir" with deep respect. As they drove through the city, Maya watched Ryan's face. He seemed different tonight, more confident, less guarded. The charity event was held at the fanciest hotel Maya had ever seen. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and men in expensive suits escorted women in designer gowns. Maya felt overwhelmed by the glamour, but Ryan guided her through the crowd with surprising ease. "Ryan Blackwood," a voice called out. Maya turned to see an older man in a perfect tuxedo approaching them with a huge smile. Behind him was a woman wearing jewelry that probably cost more than most people's houses. "Judge Patterson," Ryan said warmly. "Good to see you. And this must be your lovely wife, we've heard so much about," the judge said, taking Maya's hand. "Mrs. Blackwood, you're even more beautiful than the photos." "Photos?" Maya glanced at Ryan in confusion. "What photos?" "Thank you," Maya said politely. As the evening continued, Maya noticed something strange. Everyone seemed to know Ryan, and they all treated him with enormous respect. But it wasn't the kind of polite respect people show to disabled family members. It was the respect people show to someone important, someone powerful. "Excuse me, Mr. Blackwood," a waiter said, approaching with a phone. "You have an urgent call from Tokyo." Ryan frowned. "Can't it wait?" "They said it was about the Henderson deals, sir." "Very time sensitive." Ryan sighed and took the phone. "Excuse me for a moment," he told Maya. Maya watched her husband walk away, moving through the crowded room without hesitation, never bumping into anyone or looking lost. He spoke into the phone with authority, his voice carrying across the room. Tell them we'll match their offer plus 10%, but only if they sign tonight, Maya heard him say. And get our lawyers on standby. This deal is worth 50 million. And I don't want any mistakes. 50 million? Maya's head spun. That wasn't the voice of someone who just helped with family investments. When Ryan returned, Maya was about to ask him about the phone call when the evening's host stepped up to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the host announced, before we begin tonight's auction, I'd like to recognize some of our most generous supporters. Please join me in thanking the Blackwood Foundation, and especially its founder and president, Ryan Blackwood. Maya's world tilted. The crowd began applauding, and all eyes turned to Ryan. He stood up gracefully, waving to acknowledge the applause like he had done this 100 times before. Ryan Blackwood has donated over $2 million to our children's hospital this year alone, the host continued. His business success has made him one of our state's youngest billionaires, and his generosity has saved countless young lives. Billionaire. The word echoed in Maya's head like a bell. Ryan wasn't just wealthy. He wasn't just successful. He was one of the richest people in the entire state. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. Everything she had been told about her husband was a lie. He wasn't a helpless invalid that his family was trying to care for. He was the head of a business empire. A man so powerful that judges and politicians came to shake his hand. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Maya smiled and nodded at the right times, but inside she was reeling. When people asked her questions about Ryan's latest acquisition or the Blackwood Industries expansion, she had no idea what to say. On the drive home, Maya finally found her voice. "You lied to me," she said quietly. Ryan turned toward her, his expression unreadable. "What do you mean? You're not just someone who helps with family investments. You're not some disabled son that your family has to take care of. You're a billionaire. You run the whole company." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "Yes. Why did you lie to me?" "Because I had to know if you were real," Ryan said finally. "Do you have any idea how many people have tried to marry me for my money? How many women have pretended to love me just to get access to my wealth?" Maya felt tears starting in her eyes. "So you pretended to be someone else to test me?" "I pretended to be powerless to see if you would treat me with kindness anyway. And you did. You read to me. You talked to me like I was a real person. You never asked me for anything expensive or tried to use me, but you made me feel sorry for you," Maya whispered. "I thought I was married to someone who needed protection, someone who was vulnerable." "I am vulnerable," Ryan said, his voice breaking slightly. "Being blind does make me vulnerable even if I've learned to hide it. But my blindness also showed me who you really are. You're kind, Maya. You're genuine. You're nothing like the women who used to throw themselves at me before my accident." Maya wiped away a tear. "I don't know what's real anymore." When they got home, Maya went straight to her room, needing time to think. But an hour later, she heard voices coming from downstairs. Angry voices. Maya crept to the top of the staircase and peered down. Victoria was in the living room, and she wasn't alone. Chloe was with her, along with a man in an expensive suit who looked like a lawyer. "Where is she?" Victoria was demanding. "Where is my stepdaughter?" "Mrs. Victoria," Helen was saying, "it's very late. Perhaps you could come back tomorrow." "We're not leaving until we speak to Maya and her husband," the lawyer said. "We have important legal matters to discuss." Ryan appeared, still wearing his tuxedo from the charity event. "What's going on here?" Victoria's eyes lit up with triumph. "Mr. Blackwood, perfect timing. We need to have a conversation about your wife's family obligations." "I don't understand," Ryan said carefully. The lawyer stepped forward. "Mr. Blackwood, I represent Mrs. Victoria Chen and her daughter, Chloe. They have a legitimate claim to financial support from your wife, given the circumstances of your marriage arrangement." Maya's blood turned to ice. They were going to tell Ryan the truth. "What circumstances?" Ryan asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Victoria smiled like a cat who had caught a mouse. "Oh, you poor man. You really don't know, do you? Your wife didn't tell you why she married you." "Victoria, don't," Maya said, coming down the stairs. But it was too late. Your wife married you because I arranged it, Victoria said with vicious satisfaction. Maya was living in my house, eating my food, completely dependent on my charity. When my daughter got pregnant and needed a husband with money, I decided Maya would have to marry for the family's benefit instead. Ryan's face went completely pale. What are you saying? I'm saying your marriage was a business transaction. Victoria continued. Maya married you to gain access to your family's wealth. She's been reporting back to us about your finances, your business dealings, everything. That's not true, Maya cried. But Ryan wasn't looking at her anymore. The Blackwood family fortune was always the goal, the lawyer added. My clients have documentation proving that this marriage was arranged specifically to benefit Maya's family financially. Maya watched in horror as Ryan's expression changed from shocked to hurt to cold anger. Is this true? Ryan asked Maya, his voice barely above a whisper. It's not what it sounds like, Maya said desperately. Yes, Victoria arranged the marriage, but I never wanted your money. I never reported anything to them. I was forced into this just like you were. Forced? Ryan's laugh was bitter. I wasn't forced. I chose to marry you because I thought you were different. I thought you were real. I am real. My feelings for you are real. But Ryan was already turning away. Helen, please escort these people out. Maya, we'll discuss this tomorrow when I've had time to think. As Ryan disappeared upstairs, Victoria grabbed Maya's arm. You've ruined everything, she hissed. He was supposed to take care of us financially. Now what are we going to do? Leave me alone, Maya said, pulling away. I never agreed to help you steal from him. Steal? Victoria laughed. You think getting money from your own husband is stealing? You're more naive than I thought. After they left, Maya packed her few belongings into the same small suitcase she had brought to the mansion 6 months ago. Her hands shook as she folded the simple clothes she had worn before Ryan but her beautiful dresses. She left behind all the expensive things, the jewelry, the designer clothes, even the credit card Ryan had given her. None of it had ever really belonged to her anyway. The tiny apartment she found was nothing like the mansion. It had one bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough for one person, and a bathroom with a shower that dripped constantly. But it was hers. Paid for with the money she earned working at a small bookstore downtown. Mrs. Patterson, the elderly woman who owned the bookstore, had been kind enough to hire Maya, even though she had no real work experience. You have an honest face, dear, she had said, and anyone who knows as much about books as you do deserves a chance. Every morning, Maya walked to work past the newspaper stands, where Ryan's photo sometimes appeared in the business section. She tried not to look, but it was impossible to avoid completely. The headlines talked about his latest business deals, his charitable donations, his success. He looked happy in the photos, or at least professional. Maya wondered if he ever thought about her. She had left him a letter explaining everything. The whole truth about Victoria's manipulation and how she had been forced into the marriage. But Ryan never responded. Maya couldn't blame him. From his perspective, she had been part of a scheme to take advantage of him. Why would he believe her now? 3 weeks after Maya moved out, Helen appeared at the bookstore. Mrs. Maya, Helen said, her eyes red from crying. I've been looking everywhere for you. Maya looked up from the books she was organizing. Helen, what are you doing here? Mr. Ryan is making a terrible mistake, Helen said. He's been miserable since you left. He barely eats, he doesn't sleep, and he snaps at everyone who tries to help him. Maya's heart ached, but she shook her head. He made his choice. He thinks I betrayed him, but you didn't, Helen said firmly. I've worked for that family for 20 years. I know when someone is lying, and I know when someone is genuine. You loved him, really loved him. It doesn't matter now, Maya said sadly. He'll never trust me again. He's investigating your stepmother, Helen revealed. He hired private detectives to look into everything. I think he's starting to realize he was wrong about you. Maya's pulse quickened, but she forced herself to stay calm. That doesn't change anything. Helen reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. He doesn't know I'm here, but I thought you should know what his investigators found. Maya's hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside were official documents, bank records, and legal papers. As she read, her anger grew with every page. Victoria had stolen much more than Maya realized. The house that was supposed to be Maya's inheritance, her father's life insurance money, even a college fund her father had set up, everything had been transferred to Victoria's name through forged documents. She's been stealing from you for years, Helen said quietly. And she used you to try to steal from Mr. Ryan too. But the most shocking document was at the bottom of the pile. It was a recording transcript of a phone conversation between Victoria and her lawyer, discussing how to blackmail Ryan for more money by threatening to expose embarrassing details about his blindness to the media. Maya felt sick. Victoria hadn't just used her to get close to Ryan. She had planned to hurt him, to humiliate him, to use his disability against him. That evening, Maya was closing the bookstore when a familiar black car pulled up outside. Her heart stopped when Ryan stepped out, moving carefully with his white cane. He looked thinner than she remembered, and tired. Maya met him at the door. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," he said quietly. "Please." They sat in the empty bookstore, surrounded by books and the soft glow of the reading lamps. Ryan looked uncomfortable, like he didn't know where to start. "I owe you an apology," he said finally. "I was wrong about you." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do. I let my past experiences cloud my judgment. I've been hurt before by people who pretended to care about me, and when your stepmother said those things, I believed the worst instead of trusting what I knew about your character. But I did lie to you," Maya said. "I should have told you about Victoria's real motives from the beginning." Ryan shook his head. "You were as much a victim as I was. Maybe more. At least I had money and power to protect myself. You had nothing except the kindness in your heart." "What happens now?" Maya asked. "Victoria has been arrested," Ryan said. "Fraud, forgery, theft, attempted blackmail. She's going to prison for a long time. Chloe is cooperating with the authorities to avoid jail time, but she has to pay back everything they stole." Maya felt a mix of relief and sadness. Victoria had finally faced consequences for her actions, but it didn't undo all the pain she had caused. "I'm having all your father's property restored to you," Ryan continued. "The house, the money, everything that was rightfully yours. Thank you," Maya whispered. "There's something else," Ryan said, reaching into his jacket. "I want to give you a choice." He pulled out 2 sets of papers. "These are annulment documents. If you sign them, our marriage will be legally erased. You'll be free to start over with your inheritance, go to college, live whatever life you want." Maya looked at the papers, then at Ryan. "What's the other choice?" Ryan's hands shook slightly as he pulled out the second set of documents. "These are adoption papers for a foundation I want to start. A foundation that helps young people who have lost their parents, who are being taken advantage of by family members or guardians. I want to call it the Maya Foundation." "Ryan, I also have this," he said, pulling out a small velvet box. "It's a ring. Not the one I gave you for our arranged marriage, but one I chose because I love you." Maya's heart stopped as Ryan opened the box to reveal the most beautiful ring she had ever seen. It wasn't huge or flashy, but it was perfect, with a simple diamond that caught the light and sparkled like a star. "I love you, Maya," Ryan said, his voice breaking. "Not because you were arranged to be my wife, not because you took care of me, but because you're kind and genuine, and you make me want to be a better person. You saw me as more than just my disability or my money. You saw me as just Ryan." "I love you too," Maya said through her tears. "I loved you when I thought you were just a man who needed someone to read to him. I love you now that I know you're one of the most successful people in the world. I love you because you're gentle and smart and you listen when I talk. Will you marry me again?" Ryan asked. "For real this time? Because we choose each other, not because anyone forced us." Maya didn't hesitate. Yes, their second wedding was everything their first one wasn't. Maya wore her mother's wedding dress, which had been stored in Victoria's attic and recovered by Ryan's investigators. Ryan's parents were there, along with Helen and all the staff who had become like family to Maya. But the most important guests were the children from the orphanage where Maya had been volunteering. She had started working there after she moved out, finding comfort in helping kids who were going through some of the same struggles she had faced. "You know," Ryan said as they danced at their reception, "I used to think my accident was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And now?" Maya asked. "Now I think maybe it was the best thing. If I hadn't lost my sight, I might never have learned to see people's hearts instead of their faces. I might never have recognized how special you are." Maya smiled. "Your sight might be gone, but you see me better than anyone ever has." 6 months later, Maya stood in front of their new house, the one that had been her childhood home. Ryan had bought it back from the bank and restored it exactly the way it had been when her father was alive. The garden bloomed with the same flowers, and the blue shutters looked fresh and bright. "Are you ready?" Ryan asked, taking her hand. "Ready for what?" "To welcome the first kids to the Maya Foundation home. 5 teenagers who need a safe place to live while they finish school." Maya squeezed his hand. "I've been ready my whole life." As they walked up the path together, Maya thought about how far they had both come. Ryan had learned to trust again, and Maya had learned that she deserved to be loved. They had both discovered that real love wasn't about what someone could give you, but about what you chose to give them. Their love story had started with lies and manipulation, but it had grown into something beautiful and true. And now they were using their second chance to give other young people the opportunities and support that Maya had never had. Sometimes, the most beautiful love stories come from the most unlikely beginnings. Maya and Ryan had found their happy ending not in spite of their struggles, but because of them. They had learned that true love sees beyond appearances, beyond circumstances, beyond even the lies that others tell about you. In the end, love had won.